US people of Reddit, what do you think of the metric system? 28 grams in an ounce. It's fine, and pretty straightforward to use. I prefer it for everything other than measuring heights of people. We have the imperial system, which is a problem. Some things use the metric system. So now there's two problems. I prefer the metric system. Where's my 10 mm wrench? I mean, I worked construction, and while inches is easier, I had a tape measure Thag presented it in both once and at first hated it, but then I started using the cm side for base and things that needed more precise measurements. Now thinking about it, I wonder whatever happened to that tape measure. I'm for it. Use it daily in medicine, and guess what? It works. It's funny, when I was in school they said we would be switching to the metric system any day now. 25 years later it hasn't happened. It's just not what we use because no one wants to be the generation to have to retool. I'm fine with the imperial system. We are slowly creeping over to metric. 9mm bullets and 2-liter soda is a good example. Keep that kph garbage to yourself. I measure everything in cheeseburgers per freedom. They use it for something like milliseconds and nano stuff, and don't they use tons for really heavy stuff? It's great, and I use it all day at work. The metric system is great for science, but a bit lesser in terms of language and ordinary use. For instance, you can talk of a keg of beer, a glass of wine, a pint of ale, a cup of orange juice, a gallon of milk, a shot of liquor, a tablespoon of cough syrup, a teaspoon of sugar, and 2 drops of food coloring. For those of us who aren't scientists, that's far more clear and colorful than describing all those things in terms of a single unit. Perfect. Apart from time. Need to be metricized. Metric system is way better than imperial. It's mostly fine. And it would be okay if we used it for more things. We already use it almost exclusively in math and science. But there's not really any advantage to switching elsewhere. The US customary system is also mostly fine. So it won't happen. The US customary system wasn't invented by idiots. It exists for a reason. It's people-friendly. Objects we deal with in everyday life are a few inches or a few feet. Cooking units are all small integers. The temperature scale 0 to 100 ranges from really cold to really hot. Instead of the metric, kinda chilly, to died a long time ago. You can learn a new system. But this one is intuitive and doesn't cause problems for most people. A lot of things in manufacturing, etc., would need to change. Everything is decimal inches. US bolts. Building materials are all inches. Etc. That would be expensive and annoying. And some things are objectively worse. Like metric bolts and screws have terrible thread pitches because they wanted them to be nice round numbers of millimeters. You generally need a bigger metric fastener than the US equivalent. This is a symptom of a system that was designed to make the math easy, rather than a system that evolved naturally because of what works. It's fine. I really don't care either way if America were to adopt it. However, I will die on this hill. Fahrenheit is the superior unit when talking about the weather. The metric system is the tool of the devil. My car gets 40 rods to the hog's head. And that's the way I likes it. It's a little better than the imperial system, but not that much better. And it's not worth the cost or effort to switch over. It's a click on an easy-to-use conversion software away. Beyond that, I don't give a damn. Before you judge somebody who doesn't use the metric system, you should walk 1.609344 kilometers in their shoes. What the fuck is a kilometer? I see absolutely no reason why we don't adopt it. It's just Americans trying to be edgy, I guess. It makes me feel special because no one outside of the US knows what I'm talking about. I don't really care for it. Somebody just make up their fucking mind. Use one or the other. For example, not uncommon to be working on a car and find that the bolt takes a standard wrench while the nut Takes a metric wrench. I think the US should start teaching it because it would help scientists from US collaborate with other scientists who use the metric system. I love the metric system, it's so much better. I genuinely like the metric system for everything except temperature. To me, Celsius just doesn't make sense when we're talking about non-scientific things. E.g. the temp outside. Or body temp. For those non-scientific purposes, Fahrenheit seems so much more intuitive because it provides a simple 0 to 100 scale. 0 is really cold. 100 is really hot. Easy peasy. Prefer it. Bought standard tools by accident and returned them for metric. It's cool, but I think the supporters of the metric system overstate how easy it is. On a day-to-day level. The imperial system, the US customary system is more practical. But probably needs a better name. For example, 12 inches in a foot can be broken down neatly into 5/6, 10 in, 3/4, 9 in, 2/3, 8 in, 1/2, 6 in, 1/3, 4 in, 1/6, 2 in. Then the fractions that we use are just powers of 2, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, etc. For volume, there's 8 ounces in a cup. 8 can be broken down neatly into 2/3, 6 ounces, 1/2, 4 ounces, 1/4, 2 ounces. Temperature isn't quite as neat because the numbers were chosen arbitrarily, but I know that if it's under 65 it's warm clothes weather. 65 to 75 is flexible shorts, pants and t-shirt. Over 75 is shorts and t-shirt weather. If you are doing science, metric is probably best, but just living life. I think imperial is pretty easy.